There is an engineer at Anthropic, highly skilled, among the best in the world in what she does. She has spent years building some of the most sophisticated AI systems ever created. 5 months ago, she stopped writing code. Not because she was asked to, not because she was replaced. She is still employed. She still shows up. She still sits at her desk, opens up her laptop, and works a full day. But the coding, the thing she is trained for, the thing she built her identity around, the thing she was arguably among the best in the world at doing, is now done entirely by the AI she helped build. She wrote about it herself in a note that Anthropic published, and she said, "I started leaning hard into Claudifying about a year ago, and that's been a crazy adventure. And it's now been around 5 months since I last wrote any code myself." I want to start there with her because everything that matters about what I am going to tell you today lives inside that single sentence. Hello and welcome back. I am Gautam, and today I want to tell you a story about a loop that is closing and closing very fast. In June 2026, Anthropic published a document. The title was simple: When AI Builds Itself. It was not a product announcement. It was not even a research paper. It was something closer to a confession, a company looking at what it had built, measuring what it was becoming, and deciding to tell the world what it found. And what it found was this. As of May 2026, more than 80% of the code merged into Anthropic's own systems was written by Claude. Yes, Claude, the AI writing the code that builds Claude itself. The loop is not closed yet, but it is closing. Let me share with you how we got here. It begins, as most important stories do, quietly. A few years ago, engineers at Anthropic were doing what engineers everywhere do: writing code on laptops, reviewing each other's work, helping each other with small problems, fixing them. One person asking another, "Hey, can you please help me get this script running?" These small movements mattered, not just technically. They created what one engineer described as a gift economy of small favors between humans. That's how we have worked. Each one created a little debt, a little mutual awareness, a texture of collaboration that felt to the people inside it like what work was supposed to feel like. Then the tools got better and better. Engineers started using Claude to write short snippets of code, copying the output into their editors, into their IDE. Then Claude could write entire files, entire code. Then Claude could run the code itself. Then Claude could delegate hours of work to other AI agents running in parallel. The engineers were still there, still directing, still reviewing, but the texture had changed. As one of them put it in, Claude is faster. It creates zero debt, but each of those interactions is a lost bid for human collaboration. By the second quarter of 2026, the typical Anthropic engineer was merging 8 times as much code per day as they were in 2024. Not because they were working harder, because most of it was no longer being written by them, and the code was good, not just functional good. By mid-2026, the engineers at Anthropic broadly agreed that Claude written code had reached parity with human written code, and they expect it to be strictly better within the year. There is a moment in every story where the thing being described stops feeling like a trend and starts feeling like a turning point. This is that moment. In April 2026, Anthropic ran an experiment that I think deserves to sit at the center of this story. They gave Claude and Claude-powered agents an open research problem in AI safety. They gave them no further instructions and then they left them to work. The agents proposed hypotheses. They ran experiments. These are the AI agents. They shared findings with other AI agents working in parallel. They iterated. They failed, they tried again. Two human researchers working for a week recovered 23% of the solution. The agents, given 800 hours of compute time, recovered 97%. The only thing the humans did that the agents could not do was this. They chose which problem was worth solving. Everything else, the curiosity, the methodology, the persistence, the experimental rigor had passed to the machines, to the AI agents. Now, I need to tell you about the other engineer. Not the one who stopped writing code. This is a different one. Someone who is still writing code or trying to, but who has started to feel something they cannot quite name. We don't have the vocabulary to express it. They wrote this, what they wrote is, on days where everything works well, I can't help but think nothing I do matters. Everything is automated and better and faster than I ever will be. And then, but there are days where everything breaks and I don't understand why. And I realize I have no idea what I have been up to anymore. If you hear those sentences again, because they are not describing a technical problem, they are describing a loss of something much more fundamental, much more human. The first engineer stopped writing code and found a kind of liberation in it, more output, more scope, a feeling of flying. The second is still in the room, still employed, still technically in control, but no longer certain what that control is for. These two engineers are not opposites. Let me be very clear about it. They are two different movements in the same story, and most of us, not just software engineers, not just AI researchers, but most of us are going to live through some version of that story in the years ahead, maybe earlier. Anthropic is honest about where this goes. They describe three possible futures. In the first, the progress plateaus. The thing that separates a great researcher from a good one, judgment, taste, the ability to know which questions matter, turns out to be something AI cannot learn from scale alone. Progress slows, societies have time to adapt. Anthropic thinks this is unlikely. In the second future, AI development becomes largely automated, but humans stay in charge of the direction where it moves. Companies of 100 people do the work of 10,000 people. Knowledge work transforms, science accelerates. This, Anthropic says, is probably where we are heading, and I agree with this. And in the third future, the one they are most cautious about, and we all should be, the one they cannot fully predict and no one can, AI systems become capable of designing and improving their own successes entirely without human input. The pace of progress is no longer set by human decisions and even directions. It is set by the availability of compute and computing resource only. And the humans who remain are not developers, they are overseers, trying to verify the behavior of systems that are rapidly becoming more capable and more capable than the people doing the verifying even. Anthropic's own co-founder said something that I think deserves to be heard slowly, and it's important. He said, if it were possibly and it's possible to effectively slow the development of this technology to give ourselves more time to deal with its immense implications, we think that would likely be a good thing. The company building the technology saying that slowing it down would probably be good. And Anthropic's chief scientist told The Guardian that humanity will have to decide somewhere between 2027 and 2030 whether to allow AI systems to recursively self-improve, and that's phenomenal. So it's 2027 to 2030, not a philosophical horizon in the future. It's day after tomorrow, and the people who will have to make that decision, policymakers, citizens, communities, all of us together, are for the most part are not yet part of that conversation. So let me come back to where we started, to the engineer who stopped writing code. She is not a cautionary tale. She is not a victim. She is someone living right now inside the most consequential technological transition in human history. And she is doing what humans have always done. When the world shifts beneath them, she is adapting, finding new ways to contribute, moving from doing to directing. But the question the story opens and does not answer is this. For most of human history, the doing was where meaning lived. The craft, the code, the experiment, the small problem solved for a colleague who then owed you a favor and remembered it. The texture of human collaboration, that gift economy of mutual awareness. It was not just how work got done. It was how people understood their place in the world. We are building something that is extraordinarily good at the doing, and we have not yet asked seriously what happens to us when the doing is no longer ours. And that is not a question Anthropic can answer. It is not a question any AI company can answer. It is a question that belongs to us, all of us, and the window to ask it carefully together before the loop closes is open right now. Thank you. I am Gautam. Think carefully and please always stay curious. If this made you see technology a little differently, that is exactly why I make these videos. Please subscribe if you want more conversations about technology and, most importantly, what it means to be human in the middle of it. Thank you.